a quote from Kemi Bin, people expect to be bought by e-learning and let's show them it doesn't have to be like that. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Nur Adwiah binti Khairul Akmal, matric number 1915478 and my FYP partner is Muhammad Ikram bin Iqbal Fitri, matric number 1912071. Our FYP is about personalized learning with artificial intelligence. This is the poster for our FYP. It consists of abstract, problem statement, objective, literature review, methodology, data visualization, result analysis, conclusion, and future work. For abstract, the experiment was finalized with the usage of the both support vector machine algorithm and content-based filtering as part of the prediction and recommendation model. Overall objective of this experiment is to ensure the versatility of artificial intelligence in the methodology to be used in academic institutions. The research is also needed to solve the outdated methods and the limitation of usage of personalized learning in online learning environment. The research also carries the prime elements in creating standardized methods that can be used globally for online learning. The result depicts that early performance from the students in both examination results and attitude, which is engagements, will affect the final assessments, and this can be a good setting for the lecturers to ensure that the students get the material needed for the final examinations. Next is problem statement. First, post-pandemic learning environment depicts that our current traditional method would give a hard time for lecturers to hand out a proper modus operandi to maximize the learning output for the students. Therefore, making an artificial-based learning environment one of the highest potentials to cope with our current online learning method that requires the existence of the usage of AI. Second, lecturers find it difficult to determine the strengths and weaknesses of the students. Commonly, there is no generic or effective knowledge acquisition track that matches the learner's strengths and bypasses their weaknesses to ultimately meet their desired goal. Third, students didn't have a particular medium or suitable reference to benchmark their own performance, making it extra effort and extremely difficult for them to organize their performance standard. For the objective, first, we want to review the current AI methodology that has been used for the past few years. Second, we want to apply AI-based concepts on the personalized learning approach. Third, we want to compare several AI methods used in personalized learning. For the literature review, first, the definition of artificial intelligence. The outcome measure is the definition and interpretation of AI concepts used in predictive model. AI is a computer science subfield that entails the creation of computer programs to perform tasks that would necessitate human intelligence. The finding is the concept of AI that will be used for our FYP. Second, definition of online assessment and correlation with artificial intelligence. The outcome measure is the differentiation of the current learning environment with and without using the e-learning environment. The finding is the list of specific needs to differentiate the personalized learning concept. Third, non-AI versus AI techniques for online assessment. It explains the different materials and methodology used for both AI and non-AI concepts and the learning traits of the students that will be referred to their performance and engagement. Last but not least, predictive model analysis in e-learning platforms using content-based filtering. This system uses content-based filtering for processing information and data from various sources and tries to extract useful features and elements about the contents of the items, and the constraint-based filtering uses features of items to determine their relevance. Okay, that's all from me, and I will pass to Brother Ikram for the further explanation how we experiment this topic with our data. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to the FYP examiners. My name is Muhammad Ikram and I'll be continuing on the methodology part. Okay, so first and foremost, as you can see from the two different colors of the flowchart, the research are actually divided into two parts, which is the prediction model and the recommendation model. So, There's two data set used for the first phase, which is the performance of the students and also the engagement of the students. The two data sets that have been used will be needed to carry out data preparation method. And since the original data set doesn't require any cleaning method, the two data set then merge into one data frame. Data preparation ended with the splitting of test and train set before proceeding to the data modeling, applying the several prediction models such as support vector machine, logistic regression, and also neural networks. Okay, and then the result be later used in the recommendation model and requires another data set that contains the various genres of books that can be recommended to the students. Dataset that was actually made from the scratch, so the cleaning process can be skipped because of the zero error. And then content-based recommendation has been used, and the data modeling also requires the result from the prediction model that had been done in the first phase of the experiment to recommend the student books. Okay, so next will be data visualization. In this element, I present the introduction and some of the graph that we have, which are the bar graphs and also the SNS plots. So for the introduction, before visualization, we change a few data types of the data that is in object to either float or integer based on the most suitable library function of the S type changing function. Our prediction model requires description of the specific columns such as the engagement levels. Description of certain results of the students is needed to determine their range and be used in the further recommender system. So we added one column titled level, and its description of the column data that is determined within three main elements, which are either excellent, good, average, or fail if it's neither of the choices. Okay, there's two bar graph examples that depicts the usage of the new added column to show a clear visual of the different level of performance of the students for their exams. This also sets a benchmark for the afterward usage in our recommendation model. Okay, so next is SNS plots. The functionality of SNS plots helps us to see the consistency of different elements on the same group of data. The plotting on the graph shows the average consistency, making it easier for us to recognize the ones that can be constant and be used throughout the experiment. Moving on to the result analysis. Okay, so from the above table, it is has already classified that the column based on the element that will contribute the most in terms of final grade. And from that, it can be seen that the changes are actually minimal. So the decision making for the precision model, that is, it is better if we proceed with support vector machine, which is SVM, because it has the highest accuracy when all the columns are used with an accuracy score that is more than 90%, which is 100 for this actually. So the experiment draws the result heavily from the consistency of the students' performance and the level of students' engagement. The average score of the students in the exams and the consistency of getting above average will give such high prediction for our prediction model, thus will help us to achieve a better and efficient accuracy for our prediction model. Next will be the result analysis for our recommendation model. So these are some of the columns, these are the column groups that shows the result of the three book recommendation after we've done everything. So each students will group to different category based on the lowest score. So let's say they have quiz one as the lowest score, they will be categorized into maybe for beginner level. Okay, so each student also is assigned to different book genre and level performance. This can be seen from our previous prediction model result. So, based on the lowest mark group, each student will be given three different book recommendation based on the genre of the book. Okay, after that, I'm going to talk about the future works. Okay, so the research done in personalized learning could be a startup or a benchmark for other experiments, since there is a lot of rooms even for other models to fill in, such as randomized algorithm, because it works with space complexity and parts of logic methods. The recommendation models can also act as a supporting model for other potential prime model that can be used to create another methodology in innovating the personalized learning while making sure that it carries the same objective or improvisation from the previous version of the recommendation model. And last but not least, I'm going to talk about the conclusion. So the experiment actually draws the result heavily from the consistency of the students' performance and the level of the students' engagement. Regardless of being a quiz or the midterm exam, the average result was taken from all the exams. So focusing on only one type of exam will be the downfall of the student and the accuracy will drop massively. The students must ensure that they will focus on each type of exam to ensure a high accuracy for their performance, not to forget neglecting having a high engagement level. The experiment helped boost the students' performance by providing bold recommendations for them to study. So that's all from us. Thank you for listening and have a nice day. Assalamualaikum.